when she's making history. She just shows you the level of scrutiny they're doing to Caitlin Clark. And despite all of this young lady comes out there, entertain her fans, make sure she have everything locked and loaded to perform at a very high level. And I can't do nothing but take my hat off to that young lady for that. Now, with that being said, the numbers has come out, and I'm telling you right now, they're gonna be talking about this now.
A debate has been gaining traction around whether Aja Wilson or Angel Reese carry more star power and marketability than Caitlin Clark, with some arguing their fan bases are more passionate and engaged. But what the viewership numbers keep demonstrating, regardless of how that argument plays out, is that Clark remains the most watched player in the entire league. There was a minor dip recently, somewhere around 300 dip, but nothing that came close to a catastrophic drop. The floor for her game still clears 1 million, which is a benchmark that continues to stand out in the context of WNBA television history. This is happening against a backdrop where Clark seems to face friction at every turn. Left off promotional materials, under-acknowledged by her own coaching staff when she hits milestones, and subjected to a level of scrutiny that players in her statistical tier rarely deal with. None of that has slowed her down on the court, where she continues to show up and perform at an elite level regardless of what is swirling around her. The numbers that came out recently are worth examining carefully. 0.24 million viewers, and a particular account on social media. One with a visible habit of framing things in ways that downplay Clark, declared it the most watched one-bug game on a Sunday ever.
Has come out, and I'm telling you right now, they're gonna be talking about this. Now, this might be some of you guys' first time hearing about this, but you know the old saying, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Well, I'm here to tell you, the numbers ain't lying about this. It says news. Sunday's matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and Atlanta Dream averaged 1.24 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game on a Sunday ever. On a Sunday ever. Now, this page right.
That claim immediately drew pushback from followers who pointed out a fairly significant detail. Another game was played that same Sunday, and its viewership numbers had not yet been released. That other game was the Indiana Fever contest on NBC, when someone in the replies noted that fact directly. The original claim started to look a lot more like selective framing than a genuine record announcement. 4 million figure being celebrated. The actual most watched games of the 2026 WNBA season through mid-May tell a different story. 9 million viewers on ABC. A game that had massive anticipation built around Clark, Alia Boston, Paige Bueckers, and Aja Wilson. The Wings won 107-104 in a finish that came down to the wire.
This page right here, make it their business. I talk hoops. To kind of try to shit on Caitlin Clark. I think I'm not the only one to have noticed this, and me personally, it's wrong. I don't believe this game is going to last in the history books if that's the case. And I have not fact checked this being the most watched game on a Sunday, but I got a hard time believing that. But let's say it is. Congratulations to.
That game ranks as the second most watched regular season WNBA game in ESPN history. The record holder is also a Fever game. At this point, Clark and Indiana are essentially competing against their own benchmarks. The absence of the Fever viewership data at the time the Aces Dream numbers were being promoted is the crux of the issue. Publishing a watched Sunday game figure while withholding the data from a game that almost certainly exceeded it is the kind of framing that frustrates people who follow these numbers closely. Comparison only works if the competing data is kept out of the conversation. On the coaching side, a separate discussion has been building around Stephanie White's offensive philosophy.
Congratulations to him. Somebody said 8 Rose Ranch. You sure about that? And then it goes on to say, what is the most watched WNBA games this year? The most watched WNBA games of the 2026 season so far as of mid-May, it's the Dallas Wings Indiana Fever opener on May the 9th, with averaged about 2.9 to 2.5 million viewers on ABC. This was highly anticipated matchup featuring
A widely circulated comment described her as someone who operates exclusively within a motion offense framework, built around a large post player at the top of the key, and suggested that this approach is fundamentally at odds with the run and gun, push the pace style that Clark has always performed best in. That criticism is not new, but it has picked up momentum as the season has developed. What added fuel to it was a clip from a recent White press conference in which she discussed using Misha and Dee as offensive hubs in the half-court, framing them as alternatives to Boston in the same positional role in the same type of set. For observers who believe Clark's best basketball happens in transition and in up-tempo situations, hearing the coaching staff describe the offense in those terms raises real questions about whether the system is being built around what Clark does, or in spite of it. That tension between what the roster's best player naturally does and what the coaching staff appears to prefer running is shaping up to be one of the defining storylines of the Fever season. The viewership data continues to confirm Clark's drawing power. The on-court results will eventually answer whether the structure around her is helping or limiting what she is capable of producing.
This was highly anticipated matchup featuring recent number 1 pick Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston for the Fever, Paige Beckers, and AZ Fudd for the Wings. The Dallas Wings won 107 to 104 in a thriller. Context: it ranks the second most watched regular season WNBA game ever across ESPN. And guess who holds the first place side? Still Caitlin Clark and their Fever. So Caitlin Clark is potentially just breaking their team's own records at this point.
ESPN has released its latest WNBA power rankings, and there is plenty to unpack. 500 or better, which is a striking level of parity, especially given that in each of the past 2 seasons, at least one team opened the year 10-0. Connecticut was one of those teams 2 years ago. Right now, they sit at 0-5 and rank 15th. The Sun's struggles are hard to explain on paper. They are more talented and more skilled than Portland. Yet Portland is competing harder night after night. If Leigh Clarendon returns and stabilizes the roster, that alone would be a remarkable story.
Just breaking their team's own records at this point. This fan said most watched game on a Sunday in May. Whoa, you want to add a few more qualifications? Like, right. Like, do Caitlin Clark even play on a Sunday? And I don't know, man. Like, I'm not one to pick on people, but this seemed a little clickbaity. It says ABC afternoon games on Sunday, afternoon games on Sunday. ESPN averaged roughly 1.5 to 2.3 million viewership, depending on the marquee.
Aaliyah Edwards has returned from injury but has been underwhelming. Alyssa Thomas has been a standout, and Dejonai Carrington has performed well. On the other hand, Kennedy Burke's contract looks like a serious overpay. Sanaya Rivers has been a liability offensively, and Nia Coffey has been a genuine disappointment. Seattle at 14th makes sense. Ezai Magbagor and Mackenzie Holmes are both out, and Aaliyah Boston has not yet been activated. Though that could change soon, and when it does, she figures to slot straight into the starting lineup. Losing Grace Van Dienst hurts, but the team is in a rough stretch regardless. The LA Sparks at 13th is accurate.
1.5 to 2.3 million viewership, depending on the marquee matchup. The point should be this game, Sunday average numbers for the NBA this season, the W just about even. Somebody said, I bet the Fever game got more viewers as a pay-per-view, and that's why the WNBA won't release their numbers. You dorks are so embarrassing. So has they not released the numbers for the Fever game? Did the Fever play Sunday? I think that was a Sunday game.
They play no defense and generate very little on offense. They are slow, aging, and struggling across the board. A team that looked like a reasonable mid-tier squad heading into the season, but has been all around poor. Portland at 12th is actually a favorable assessment of a team that overachieves relative to its talent level. Sora Barker has been excellent. Bridget Carlton remains a dependable contributor, and the group as a whole plays with effort and consistencies. They are a fun team to watch despite limited ceiling. Toronto sits at 11th. Brittany Sykes is relentless. Her motor never stops, and there is real value in a player who competes at full intensity on every single possession, even when the results are inconsistent.
Game. Did they play on Sunday? Because boy, oh boy, if they played, I believe they did. Let me see here. Let me go here real quick. Oh, yes, they did. The Fever did play on Sunday. They played on Sunday. And they have not released their numbers yet.
The Tempo are another entertaining squad without a clear path to the playoffs. Indiana coming in at 10th is both defensible and uncomfortable. The core issue is defense, and it runs through the entire roster. Aliyah Baya Boston is the lone reliable defender on the team. Damiris Dantas is arguably the worst defender in the league. Maisha Hines Allen is mediocre at best defensively and a poor rim protector. KK Robinson is a solid shot blocker, but a liability in space, and Mo Billings is a weak defender at multiple levels. In the backcourt, Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull both struggle on that end, and Caitlin Clark, despite having the physical tools to be a competent defender, has well-documented effort issues that undermine what she could be on that side of the ball. Raven Johnson brings energy, but fouls excessively at this level.
And nobody's undefeated, which is mad because the last 2 years teams have gone 10-0 to start the year. But Connecticut, one of those teams 2 years ago who went 10-0, are in 15th. Yeah. Like I thought they looked okay yesterday. They are more skilled than Portland. They're more talented than Portland. They don't care more than Portland. If Layla Khan comes back and this team ends up being competent, Layla Khan deserves to be MVP. I'm only half joking. Aaliyah Edwards come back from injury a bit.
The wins Indiana has collected this season came against Seattle and Los Angeles, both struggling franchises, and neither game was as clean as the final score suggested. Losses came against Dallas and Washington, both teams with significant limitations of their own. The Fever have not yet beaten a quality opponent. Washington at 9th is reasonable for now. Head coach Sandy Johnson is running what appear to be deliberate tanking rotations, cycling through 11 players in a single quarter, pulling starters in bunches.
Joking. Aaliyah Edwards come back from injury, a bit disappointed in her. Anissa Mara's been great. Kennedy Burke for $1 million might be the worst contract in the league. Genuinely might be. I think Nell Angloma has shown flashes. Sanaya Rivers offensively has been absolutely terrible. Neepkins has been shocking. Diamond Miller hasn't been great, but HVL has been at least a a positive point for this team. And Reagan Beers is an undrafted rookie, has been pretty okay. Storm 14, yeah, they deserve to be there. Malonga's out.
The Mercury have only lost to Chicago and Minnesota, and they dismantled Las Vegas by 30 points. The Arike Ogumbawale and Yevgenia Dobranina pairing has been devastating. Kalia Copper leads the team in scoring, but has not looked her sharpest still. This is a team capable of beating anyone. Dallas at 7th is hard to justify. Their wins came against Washington and Indiana, two of the weaker teams in the league, and they gave away 2 games they should have won. Ranking them above Phoenix makes very little sense based on the actual results.
Pretty okay. Storm 14, yeah, they deserve to be there. Malonga's out, as is Magbagor. Awafam hasn't come over, so they are probably going to have Awafam activated for their next game. And I do think activating Awafam early enough, she's going to probably walk in as a starter. Losing Grace Van Sluten is a bit of a pity. There are other players I think they would have got rid of, but they are facing off against Connecticut, who are, I think they already beat Connecticut, I think. So they already beat Connecticut. It is
Minnesota at 5th is equally puzzling. The Lynx just got torched by Chicago, and they are operating without a healthy center. Dorka Juhas is months away from returning. Bridget Carlton is their one functional interior player, and the team's depth up front is essentially non-existent. Jumping 4 spots in the rankings after that performance is not supported by evidence. Chicago at 4th is fair. 3 wins and 1 loss, with some momentum building despite the injury to Kala Copper. Though Kennedy Carter has been outstanding and more than filled the void. Atlanta at 3rd is acceptable.
is Wednesday, tomorrow night, so I don't know if Awafam is going to be activated. If she is, expected to start. They're in tank mode. They'll be bad. Let's just say that much. The LA Sparks 1 and 3. Yeah, the Sparks are terrible. The Sparks are terrible. They deserve to be in 13th. They play no defense. They're not even good on offense. And yeah, I wouldn't be one for pretending this team's.
The Dream have been active and competitive. Las Vegas at 2nd, and arguably deserving of 1st, has been the most impressive team in the league against quality competition. The Aces have beaten strong opponents consistently. New York, meanwhile, has beaten Washington, Portland, and Seattle, all struggling teams, and lost to Portland. Until Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart are both healthy and active, Las Vegas has the stronger case for the top spot. Overall, the rankings are roughly in the right neighborhood, but misplace several teams in the middle tier. Phoenix and Las Vegas are undervalued. Minnesota is significantly overrated, given their injury situation, and the Indiana Fever, for all their star power, remain a flawed defensive team trying to paper over structural roster issues.
Pretending this team's not absolutely horrendous. Like, if this team was, like, I had them predicted to be okay going into the season. I thought they were going to be fine. But, like, they're just bad. They're just all around bad. So, yeah. Don't play defense, don't play offense. They're old, they're slow. 13th's fair. Portland, I like Portland. I think the fact that they are 12 in a power ranking is impressive because on paper they are one of the fact that they are 12 in a power ranking is impressive because on paper they are one of the worst teams in the league. But the fact that they are on paper in this position right here is a testament to how good they are. They've been to start the year. They worked their ass off. Sarah Ashley Barker's cold-blooded. And Bridget Carlton is still Bridget Carlton. Carla Late's been injured as well, who's exceptional too. I like this team. They're a fun, bad team. Toronto Tempo 2-2. Brittany, these are another fun, bad. Toronto Tempo 2-2. Brittany, these are another fun, bad team. Brittany Sykes is just going to be relentless. She is relentless. As bad as she can be, she is relentless. And there's, for me anyway, I think there's a lot to be said for a player that's just 100% go at all times. I think there's a lot to be said for that. And yeah, I think this is a pretty big. I think this is a pretty big one. In terms of like it being an interesting team, they're gonna be a fun bad team. Indiana in 10. Like, I don't agree, but I do agree. Like, we're likely to repeat this throughout the season. Fever success relies on adequate defense. They don't need to be great, and that was just good enough. They'll never be good enough. That's the problem. They didn't